I imagine what it'd be like to be in there, but I knew I didn't want to be in there.
Just to think that how many people actually walked through the building, in the course of its history.
It would not have been a place I would have wanted to be under any circumstances. There's Robert Mills from South Carolina, had done some training under Jefferson and others, and this would be one of his very early major commissions. And he'd given a lot of thought to prison reform and designing a prison to facilitate reform of those incarcerated in it.
It's the first fireproof building in the country, and it's the most modern jail in the country when it was constructed. So a lot of people started paying attention to Burlington County as being the front runner in prison reform and modeling a lot of their stuff after that.
Although it was designed like other prisons, such as Eastern State Penitentiary, as being a rehabilitative facility, most of the men who were incarcerated, and women, were incarcerated here for crimes such as drunk and disorderly or debt. And so a sentence of a week or 30 days were fairly common.
I grew up on Pine Street in Mount Holly. I walked by her, I was a little scary when I walked by, because just looking at it, it was a little scary. And I'd see the prisoners up there in the cells, and I would say something up to them, and they'd say something back down to me. But that was about as far as it went.
You were put in and left to your own devices. The inmates did push-ups and sit-ups, played various forms of card games. Some read. Other than that, no organized program. It must have been terribly boring if you had much imagination.
I guess I can imagine being here in the prison. As many people have talked about, they've seen ghosts here or hear ghosts here, and I've never had that sense when I've been here.
I actually saw my name one time, or somebody had the same name in one of the cells. And it actually said, like, I was here for 15 years or something like that, and I booked it out of that cell.
It would not have been a place I would have wanted to be under any circumstances. There were 7 people in the history of the jail who were taken out from the prison and hanged for murder. The first was a black lady, Eliza Freeman, hanged for murdering her husband. The last 2 were hanged in 1906.
Rufus Johnson and George Small were the last people to be executed here. They had murdered a woman in Morristown.
They were convicted, and in 1906 they were hung in the back exercise yard of the prison. It was something of a spectacle, and it was a popular event, and people would hope to be invited to witness an execution. Burlington County, the population was increasing significantly. Even though the sentences were fairly brief, there were just too many people here to safely house them.
And in November of 1965, the prisoners were marched from the old jail around the corner to the new temporary jail. And there was a subconscious desire on the part of a lot of county residents to retain it, to provide a context with the past.
Later in the 1960s, this was kind of saved as a museum.
I think just to think that how many people actually walked through the building, in the course of its history, that kind of thing is just really neat.
The attempt at prison reform, even though it didn't work, the concept was a very interesting one.